Okay, so I've got it all fitted in. There's the pin they supply right there. Got it halfway started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pin punch, 16th inch pin punch right here. Kind of help keep everything aligned. Then we'll take the spring right here and I'm going to put it in. Now it's got a little hook on it right there, as you can see. You can see that real good. A little hook, and that goes in this way. So I'll take it and push it right here, push it right here, put my hand under it, pull my pin punch back just far enough to clearance it all out, and I'm going to push it all the way in. I'm going to hold it with my finger like that, with my thumb. And I'll take this screwdriver right here. It's hard to see, but there's a little gap right here. I'm going to try to push this in right there. Oops, lost my pin punch. See if I can get that back in there. Okay, I got my pin punch in. Now everything lined up good. So now everything's retained. I'm going to check it. Seems very free. So let's see if I can't put that right here. Got to hold my workbench just for such things. Aim it right here at it. You can see the pin sticking right here. I'll take my hammer, see if I can't push it all the way through. Now it's pretty much all the way through. Let's knock her the rest of the way in. Need my punch. Right here. There we go. It's all free. Goes in. Got a little bit of pin sticking out right there. I don't know if you can see it. Right there, there's a little bit of pin sticking out. I'll check it for clearance. If there's any kind of clearance issues, I'll just take my little mill file and file it off. But it's in there. Everything's free. So now when the shotgun goes in there, it'll hit the carrier release. The shell will slide right in just like that. Alright, so let's start putting this gun back together. I think we're okay. Okay, I've got it semi-assembled here, just seeing how it works. It flips up pretty easy. The real problem I have is, when I pull it back, it doesn't always catch. Now what it is, you can see it move there just a little bit. There's a little angle in there. I'm going to need to take it all apart and file that angle off, and I'll show you where it's at when I get it back apart. It's because you want it barely, how I barely touch that, you want it to almost go about there before it actually releases. And you can see with this gun, as soon as I touch it just a little bit, it releases. Now, it seems like you'd want it really easy like that, especially like, you just tap it and go, but the real problem is it's not going to catch every time, so when you run the gun dry like that, it's going to sometimes pop free. So let me just assemble the gun again, do a little work on that, take a little bit off that angle. I'll show you where it's at, and see if I can get this to fit a little better. Like I said, it catches good there, but I'm sure under automatic fire or under semi-automatic fire that she's just going to flip straight forward. So let me get in there, file that off, and we'll see if we can get it a lot better. Okay, I got the carrier back out of the gun, and the part I need to file on, it's pretty small. But if you look, it's this angle part right here. It's a little small part. I don't know if I can get a little better. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just go in here. I don't even think I have to take the whole thing apart, but just have to file a little bit right in here. I'll put it in my vise, take a few licks off of it, reassemble the gun. Probably, I don't know, I'll take just a little bit off, not even a 32nd of an inch. Just file that off, and then that way when I push the carrier release in, that angle won't react quite as quickly. So when I push the carrier release in, it won't push as near as hard. So I'm going to take just a little bit off on that angle, see if I can't fix it, and get it a little bit closer. Okay, I took it all apart. I filed on that little angled piece. It catches pretty good. Got to push it in a little bit, get it to release. I've exercised it quite a few times. Seems like it catches every time. I'll have to see what happens when I fire the weapon, but I think everything will be okay. So let's continue on with the modifications to make this thing a really good 3-gun or a tactical gun, and we'll be on our way. Okay, now that I've got the carrier release end of it done, I'm going to start working on the magazine tube. Now one thing on, like especially an older shotgun, you'll find is the inside of this magazine tube is probably pretty dirty. I mean, if you've shot this gun at all, or you can see this one's been used quite a bit, one thing you need to do is take your 12 gauge bore brush and go in here and clean it all up, scrub it real good. I've already done that. And then when you go to assembling this thing, I'm going to use, here's my carrier, my magazine follower that goes in here. I'm going to grease this all up, and I'll just use regular axle grease. It really isn't anything scientific. I use the same grease I use on my boat axles. I'll go ahead and grease this all up. I'll put a little bit of grease on the inside of here, and I'll go ahead and grease the follower so everything will slide in. When you're feeding shells in here, if you hear any kind of spring noise, that means you have resistance that you don't need. If you ever see guys that's on these competitions, on the big competitions on TV, when they go to feed shells in here, they just slide right in. Another thing I found with these Choate extension tubes right here is they supply you with this giant spring. And I mean, it's big, as you can see. I mean, here's everything that goes with it. It's twice as big as it needs to be. Once you grease everything up, I have found that just the standard spring that comes with the shotgun will work fine. Now, it might or might not. I've heard a lot of guys that take these big springs and cut 3/4 of the, or a quarter of the end of it off, or cut it down here someplace and then put it back in. But I've not found it yet where I couldn't take one of these shotguns and put the original spring back in with the Choate extension and everything worked fine. So I'm going to go ahead and clean it up, grease it up, and start assembling things. I'll have to get my gas system back together and put all that back together. Okay, I'm starting to assemble this shotgun back together. One thing I like to do is I've been using Williams fire sights on all my tactical shotguns, and this one comes with just the standard. This one had just the standard Remington sights on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive this dovetail out. And I've got a nice set of these. They're a lot cheaper. They're from a company called True Glow. I'm going to try them on this gun. I look at them, and compared to my other Williams fire sights, I can't see much difference. These are plastic. I assume they'll be okay, but where Williams fire sights cost 45 bucks, I think I spent 15 bucks at Rural King. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drive this guy off. I've already loosened the thing up. Drive him off, and I'm going to go ahead and put this sight on. I'm going to drive this out of the dovetail in the front, and I'm going to put the new sight in the front of it. Then I'm going to go ahead and finish assembling that shotgun. I've got my new stocks to put on and a couple other little things I want to do with it. I think we'll be ready to go. Alright, I got my old 1100 back together. I got my True Glow sights. I got the big magazine tube up here. Speed feed stock. I got my Dave's Metalworks carrier release button up here. It helps me guide my shells in. One of the things you want to make sure you do on any kind of tactical shotgun, bolt operating handle. This goes right in the bolt on 1100, 1187. It's from Choate. As you can see, it's a big D. You put it in there. Gives you a lot of purchase when you're grabbing a hold of it. You can almost with gloves or anything, just throw it open. The next thing you want to make sure and do if you're going to be doing any kind of 3-gun competition is you want to have a way to make sure you have a couple of shells right here at the front next to the magazine, or right next to the receiver. So what I got here is a Choate. It's a 2-shell shot holder. It's flat. They design it so you can mount it any way you want. I've gone with the old hook and loop or Velcro system. It's got a screw here. You adjust the shells so how tight they are in there. These are in there pretty tight. I've tested it. Any kind of recoil, they're not going to fall out. So I'll put that there just before a stage, and I'll stick it down. Say I'm shooting, run, 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 shoot, shoot, shoot. Get the gun run dry. Miss that last target, which sometimes you do. I tend to do it a lot because I get nervous. Instead of having to reach down in your belt, pull out a shell, all you do is you reach up, throw it in, close the action. Ready to go. Alright. Well, there's your finished product. I think all in all, by the time I did wheeling and dealing on the gun, plus buying all the parts, I got about 375 bucks in her. I got the speed feed stocks. She really looks nice with it. I got the 4-shot extension tube on the end from Choate. That really works well. Dave's Metalworks, the carrier release button is a dream. Just feeds the shells in right away. I got that Choate operating handle. Great, love it. Plus the True Glow sights picks up the target like right away. Them little two shell extensions I got right there, a 2-shell holder. You can just throw that shell in right away. If you guys have any more ideas or any comments, just please leave them. I appreciate you looking at my video, and I think this gun's ready to go for some 3-gun. If I get into a big zombie fight, I think I'm ready to go. Thank you very much. Goodbye.